Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. The U.S. Justice Department has found Louisville police engaged in discrimination and a pattern of violating constitutional rights. The probe was launched after the fatal shooting of Breonna Taylor. Attorney General Merrick Garland announced the findings Wednesday.
Some officers have demonstrated disrespect for the people they are sworn to protect. Some have videotaped themselves throwing drinks at pedestrians from their cars, insulted people with disabilities, and called black people monkeys, animal, and boy. The department has concluded that there is reasonable cause to believe that Louisville Metro and LMPD engaged in a pattern or practice of conduct that violates the First and Fourth Amendments of the Constitution. There is also reasonable cause to believe that they engage in conduct that violates Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Safe Streets Act, and the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Garland called it heartbreaking and said the people of Louisville deserve better. NAACP President and CEO Derek Johnson applauded the findings, but said federal lawmakers have yet to step up and enact wider police reforms. The city will now sign a negotiated agreement with the Justice Department, and a federal officer will monitor the police department's progress in meeting reforms. A nationwide day of resistance in Israel blocked roads and shortened U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin's visit to the country today. People in Israel have been protesting the right-wing's government's proposal to consolidate power from the Supreme Court for weeks, just as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is being prosecuted for fraud. Savion Or is an Israeli protester in Tel Aviv.
I'm here this morning protesting for democracy. Israel is on the verge of becoming an autocratic country. The current government is trying to destroy our democracy and actually destroy the country.
Due to protesters, Austin will meet Israeli officials at a factory near the international airport. Organizers report upwards of 200,000 Israelis have taken to the streets in recent weeks. Meanwhile, in Palestine, security forces fired tear gas canisters and flash grenades at Palestinian protesters during a funeral for a militant in the occupied West Bank who was killed by Israeli forces this week. Israeli forces said the Hamas militant was wanted for the death of 2 Israelis in the town of Hawara last month. Recent months have been marked by escalating bloodshed across the West Bank, sparked by increased Israeli settlements on Palestinian lands that are illegal under international law. The chief executive of Norfolk Southern, one of the nation's largest railroads, faces a grilling before lawmakers in the Senate Environment Committee today. In prepared remarks, CEO Alan Shaw will issue an apology and a commitment to send millions of dollars to East Palestine on the Ohio-Pennsylvania border, where a train line carrying toxic chemicals derailed and the company then burned. Senators are expected to scrutinize railway safety, the response to the crash, and consider imposing new safety rules. Shaw is committing $20 million to the response and voluntary safety upgrades, but a bipartisan group of senators want to impose new regulations on railroads. The EPA will also testify. It's now ordered testing for dioxin levels in East Palestine, a cancer-causing toxin. Russia launched a massive barrage of missiles and drones that hit residential buildings, critical infrastructure across Ukraine, and killed 6 people, leaving hundreds of thousands without heat or electricity. In the U.S., a day after the CEO of Starbucks agreed to testify in committee, independent Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders held a hearing on union rights and corporate union busting. Christopher Martinez reports.
Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont described his committee hearing as being about how to protect workers standing up to corporate greed.
So we got to struggle. There's a class war going on, whether we want to recognize it or not. People on top have the money, they have the power, they are spending hundreds of millions of dollars to try to prevent ordinary workers from coming together to fight for dignity.
Sanders is backing legislation called the PRO Act that would increase protections for union organizing campaigns and boost penalties for violations of workers' rights. The ranking Republican on the committee, Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, says that would force workers in Louisiana and 27 other so-called right-to-work states to join a union.
These efforts are not about supporting the rights of workers. Their intent is to force workers into unions to prop up and support big politically connected unions.
The PRO Act that Sanders is backing has been picking up support, and it's a struggle that unions are committed to, according to SEIU's Mary Kay Henry.
History shows that sometimes the only way to rewrite the rules is through great disruption, militancy, and strikes. We will not stop fighting until we win.
Reporting for Pacifica Radio News KPFA, I'm Christopher Martinez.
California Governor Gavin Newsom has withdrawn a $54 million contract with Walgreens after the pharmacy giant indicated it would not sell an abortion pill by mail to states that had threatened it with legal action. Newsom ordered state officials to not renew a contract with Walgreens to purchase specialty pharmacy prescription drugs for California's prison healthcare system. It expires April 30th. Newsom said in a statement California will not stand by as corporations cave to extremists and cut off critical access to reproductive care and freedom. He said the state will leverage its market power to defend the right to choose. I'm Christina Onnested reporting for Pacifica Radio.